She is the strongest red-haired witch in history, yet tormented by an uncontrollable crying condition. Any occurrence fills her with sorrow. Volcanic eruptions make her weep, others' deaths bring tears. Even when the neighbor's dog dies during difficult labor, it leaves Nils unable to calm her emotions. Simply taking a walk outside gets her crying over cloudy skies without finding something to occupy herself. She might die of depression. However, being a major villain after all, trouble always finds its way to her door. And here comes the male protagonist, though he will kill her when grown up. In this lifetime, raising a golden retriever doesn't seem too bad. In her previous life, Nils was deceived into participating in the church's immortality project, thus losing all her relatives and friends, while facing endless chase and kill from the church. But at the final moment, she activated an abandoned magic circle, allowing herself to return 20 years into the past. The first thing upon awakening was exterminating 9 generations of the church. From then on, becoming the red-haired witch, making some gold coins daily brought reasonable happiness. Who would expect some blind fool to come prancing before her, carrying chains that bound a child in his hands? The burly man serves as a training officer, specifically responsible for training death warriors to expand the church's army. While that child had just escaped, Nils was about to take action. Unexpectedly, the little golden retriever struck back with a heavy slap. The burly man was caught completely off guard. The little golden retriever seized the opportunity to rise, knocking him down forcefully, just as he was about to strike the fatal blow. Unfortunately, the power difference was too great. He was still sent flying by the burly man. The little golden retriever collapsed heavily injured on the ground. Seeing the burly man about to continue, Nils stepped in front, analyzing what had just occurred. If not for his young age, he nearly completed a counter-kill just now. In the novel, those with such combat talent. Just as she thought this, the burly man recklessly laid hands on her. Nils directly rewarded him with a boneless chicken claw that fans love to eat. The burly man immediately let out sharp screams. Everyone was frightened into silence. He couldn't even see clearly what weapon the woman had used. "Who are you? Could it be? You are the witch," Nils answered with a smile. "Even if you guessed correctly, there's no reward. As for who I am, you can go ask Satan below." One magical electromagnetic cannon turned the burly man into thin air. Snow-white black hair gradually dyed red. The witch who had killed to her satisfaction felt no grief. Instead, there was that deathly silence that seemed to swallow her whole. At this moment, a man called out to the witch lady, pleading with her to save this child, though they were strangers. The child was similar in age to his own son, and having already lost his child, he couldn't bear to see the same tragedy unfold. Nils told him about the witch's curse. Due to different magical circuits, all magic she cast would be poison to ordinary people. "I'm sorry," the man cried out in anguish. Here it comes again. This feeling of helplessness called despair. The little golden retriever struggled to stand, walking to Nils' side. He cast the healing magic exclusive to holy nights. Gentle soft light gradually seeped into the wounds. Soon the little boy recovered completely, gradually awakening from unconsciousness. Nils looked at the golden retriever in shock. Holy knights cultivated by Tartarus. There was only that man. The mark on his chest confirmed her suspicion. Havel Augusta was the strongest warrior the church had cultivated in nearly a century, also the overseer of the Immortality Project. In her previous life, he had suppressed the rebel army organized by Nils, and ultimately killed this witch. To prevent tragedy from repeating, the best method would be to nip the danger in the bud. But the scene before death remained unforgettable. The man had gently closed her eyes, with no trace of hatred in his gaze. Perhaps it was simple compassion. In that moment, she couldn't bring herself to strike. "Do you want to come with me?" Little did she know that years later, he would become the greatest trouble in her life. The former little golden retriever had completely become a large dog who loved hearing his sister's praise. As long as sister was happy, she would give him rewards. The red-haired witch transformed herself into an ugly duckling, still carrying a golden retriever in her hands. Knowing full well this was the male protagonist who killed her in the previous life, she still raised the boy as a pet. Now, having become a nationally wanted fugitive, they had no choice but to flee everywhere. Seeing the golden retriever eating ravenously, she approached to inquire, "Has no one taught you how to use utensils?" Then her jade hand swept past her hair ends. The next second, 8 feet of red hair flowed past her waist. She taught the little golden retriever how to use a fork hand by hand. The boy tried the method his sister taught him. His eyes lit up the instant he succeeded. Nils stared at him with interest. "Are you truly unable to speak?" Getting no response, Nils then remembered. In the novel, the temple would plant magic-responsive insects in these children to control them. These parasitic beasts would devour the host's 5 senses, eventually making them perfect weapons. With no self-awareness, who could think of nothing but combat. Removing them now would still be in time, but she really dared not act. To kill the magic-responsive insects required channeling magic power into his body. What if she accidentally killed him through carelessness, having no alternative? She could only summon other creatures. "Wake up, Mammon, stop playing dead," at her command. A bitter, gored face suddenly appeared on the magic staff, frightening Harwell until his fur stood on end. He bared his fangs like a wild beast, crouching in the corner of the table and growling. Mammon was Nils's companion magic staff. Together they had crossed through numerous trials in their previous life. But Mammon always emanated a dark aura. Nils instinctively rejected it, later sealing it in a space-time rift. "So, Lady Nils, what can I do to serve you?" Mammon's cooking class was now in session. When children don't speak, it's mostly due to lung heat. Cut the cleaned and peeled lizard into thumb-sized strips. After the oil heats, add scallions, ginger, and garlic to create fragrance. Stir-fry on high heat until the surface turns golden. Add appropriate amounts of salt, sugar, and pepper powder. Stir-fry until color changes. Finally, simmer on low heat. Wait quietly for 49 hours. A bowl of antidote with perfect color, aroma, and taste will be ready. The little golden retriever drooled with appetite, while only Nils realized something was wrong. "Are you making dinner here?" Mammon explained that yes, this was indeed a genuine antidote. But before finishing his words, the little golden retriever had swallowed it in one gulp. Pain instantly spread throughout his body. With a thud, he collapsed to the ground, convulsing all over. The magic staff provided an explanation. Pain was unavoidable. The suffering of expelling magic-responsive insects was ordinarily unbearable for most people. Nils angrily destroyed the magic staff. This reminded her of unpleasant memories. When she was once imprisoned by the temple, pain had become numb to her, so only she understood that bone-deep agony. Nils comforted the boy with her hands. "It's all right. I'll share this pain with you." Harwell looked at her uncomprehendingly, but Nils showed the gentlest smile. She placed the boy on her lap. "Don't be afraid." Gradually, the boy fell asleep. When he opened his eyes again, he found himself lying in his sister's embrace. Suddenly embarrassed, he jumped up from the bed. Hearing his own voice, he touched his scarred throat, making strange sounds continuously from his mouth. Finally confirming he could speak, hearing painful moans, he followed the sound toward his sister. Sister was crying, tears sliding down her cheeks. He carefully approached, wiping away her tears. Her furrowed brow gradually relaxed. Harwell smiled along, the corners of his mouth unconsciously turning upward. That night, Nils rarely entered dreamland. The next day, Nils took the little golden retriever for a stroll. He followed beside his sister while listening to surrounding sounds for pronunciation practice. In just half a day, he had mastered a large vocabulary, though his pronunciation wasn't quite accurate yet, except for one phrase. Only when calling the witch sister's name did he enunciate with perfect clarity. The little golden retriever tugged at his sister's sleeve, telling her not to wander off. She had reminded him many times not to call her Nils, but to call her sister. But this little guy was stubborn. It seemed she needed to disguise himself as well. Nils suddenly sensed danger, seeing the little golden retriever about to be kicked by a mad horse. She could only cast magic from her palm, but the distance was too far. With a bang, Harwell was protected beneath a woman. Nils was stunned in these times. Were there still people who would risk their lives to save a stranger? The woman examined the boy up and down, fearing he was injured. "What would I do if you got hurt?" "Silly child, I'm your mother." The plot seemed to develop in a strange direction. It turned out the woman had mental disorders. Their son had died several months ago. The little golden retriever looked too much like their Swiftie in childhood. So for a moment, the woman began crying again. Nils's tear incontinence started up again. She grabbed the little golden retriever and threw him over. The couple caught Harwell and immediately stopped crying. Nils gasped heavily. The days spent alone with Javier are finally over. She'd never cried. She'd almost forgotten. This body still had that damned problem. This place was not suitable for lingering. She thought of finding an excuse to leave while the couple had already begun plotting. "Harwell likes swords, don't you? Uncle's workshop still has many. Let's go take a look together." The little golden retriever's eyes immediately sparkled. Nils hurried to stop them, but was instead grabbed by the lady. "Though it's presumptuous, I still want to ask. Where are your parents? Why didn't they come out together?" Nils made up a story. "We came from the same orphanage. We've grown up without ever seeing our parents." The lady suddenly became excited and said wonderful. Realizing she had said the wrong thing, she quickly explained, "How tragic. You've all lost your loved ones. If that's the case, would you like to become children of our family?" Nils was surprised, not expecting this would include her as well. The lady excitedly cupped her face. "Having a daughter as beautiful as you, and helping her arrange her hair is my lifelong dream. Want to try?" Nils should have refused, but just couldn't speak the words. Just consider it finding a free hairdresser. Finally, she obediently let down her waist-length red hair. "How wonderful! If I had given birth to a daughter back then, she would be about your age now. What's the use of having a son? In the blink of an eye, he's grown up, with his own career and ideals, abandoning family to chase dreams, yet ultimately meeting such an end." Nils inquired if there had been some accident. The lady paused for a second, her tone filled with sadness. "He served in the church, sacrificed himself resisting the witch." They couldn't believe. The adopted daughter was actually the witch who had killed their own son. That head of red hair was the most powerful evidence. The magic staff reminded Nils to be careful of that couple. Perhaps this was a conspiracy from the beginning. Rather than sitting and waiting for death, better to eliminate the threat at its root. Little did they know the couple's faces radiated happiness. They wanted to give these orphans a home. The entire street fell into panic. Something terrible has happened. The witch has appeared. She killed an officer in the neighboring village and abducted a child. The lady suspiciously inquired about the specific characteristics of the abducted child. Learning the truth, she immediately returned home, facing Nils with a friendly greeting. She also seemed no different than usual. "Let me cook first, you must be starving." But Harwell's expression was grim. He saw the lady draw scissors from behind her back. He immediately stopped her, biting down hard on the lady's wrist. The next second he was frozen by magic. The moment summoning magic was cast, Nils's black hair instantly turned red. Witnessing this scene firsthand, the lady completely gave up hope. Nils dodged the scissors and scolded, "I don't recall giving you permission to act." Harwell argued back with his sister for the first time. "But they wanted to kill you!" "So what? Do you think I need your protection? Don't be ridiculous. I'm the witch who commits every evil." She pressed the scissors against the lady's throat. She caught bullets with her bare hands, aimed the blade at her adoptive mother's throat. The strongest red-haired witch in history ultimately showed mercy. A smile curved at the corner of her lips, as if deliberately making them fear her. The lady called to the child to come quickly. "You've been deceived, that's the witch! Do you know how many people she's killed? Don't be afraid, Mother will protect you." Nils went with the flow, pushing Harwell toward them. "What she said is true. You'd be much better off being adopted by them than following me." But Harwell disregarded the obstruction and ran to her, embracing his sister from behind. Nils didn't understand. You could have grown up in a complete family, with parents who love you and a bright future, instead of being hated and ostracized like now following me. Harwell hugged even tighter. He wanted none of these. Whether ostracism or hatred, we'll always be together. Nils smiled bleakly. She had long grown accustomed to being alone. But the couple behind them began to argue. The lady raised her hunting rifle aimed at the witch. "I will never let you continue harming innocent people like when you killed my son." Nils questioned her. "What kind of work did your son do in the church? Did he ever harm people? Do you truly know nothing about this? Or are you just unwilling to believe the truth?" The lady's hunting rifle fell to the ground. She denied it over and over. "It's not like that. Wester wasn't that kind of person. You've killed so many people. How could you possibly keep him in your heart?" But she was wrong, Nils remembered. Every person who died by her hand, she remembered them all. When Wester was dying, he kept calling for his mother. After that, the witch burned his corpse, bearing all the sins. She disappeared from the world. 6 years later, a group of little devils fought over dolls. Brother couldn't stand it anymore either. The culprit was laughing while blowing bamboo leaves nearby. Everyone cursed her as the sorrowful red-haired witch, yet refused to believe she had once saved the common people, only pursuing her mindlessly with endless hatred. From then on, Nils lived in seclusion outside the mountains. The magical devices she created were promoted by Harwell. Over time, seekers came in endless streams, but Harwell always said, "I need to go back and cook for my sister." Who would have expected an accident this time? He forgot to collect the repair fee. On the way home, Emily dragged along a little companion. The siblings had been in the village for 5 or 6 years, but no one had ever seen what his sister looked like. So the girl suggested following him home to see. The two little ones immediately began their mission. After successfully crossing the log bridge, with no time to dry off, they immediately began disguising themselves. After walking for 49 days, they finally reached their destination. Finding the door unlocked, the two walked right in. The sounds from upstairs gradually became clear. The two stood awkwardly in place. Harwell, noticing the abnormality, looked back. "How did you get here?" The two explained they came to deliver the repair fee. The girl carefully asked, "Were you just talking with your sister? Can we meet her?" Harwell was about to refuse, when Nils's voice came through. "What's happening with all this noise?" The two immediately widened their eyes. Sister's breathtaking beauty could be called a peerless beauty. Calling her the ultimate embodiment of pure desire wouldn't be excessive. Nils frowned slightly. "We have guests?" Then she set out tea utensils. The three faced each other, none opening their mouth. The seemingly calm Nils was actually trembling with panic. For all these years she had been claiming to be too frail to meet people. Every day at home, all interactions with outsiders were left to Harwell, ultimately resulting in her social skills becoming almost completely zero. Who could save her? The girl nearby fell into self-doubt. With such a beautiful sister, no wonder Harwell was unmoved by the village girls. Nils spoke first. "What important matter brings you two here today?" But the girl responded quite rudely. "I didn't expect Harwell's sister to be like this. You two don't look alike at all." Nils wasn't angry but honestly explained they had no blood relation, merely orphans warming each other in this chaotic world. The girl's mood became even lower. Seeing her poor complexion, Harwell inquired what was wrong. She quickly waved her hand saying nothing was wrong, just a bit hungry. The girl secretly rejoiced at receiving concern. Who would expect that upon hearing this, sister wanted to cook? Harwell quietly reminded. Are you sure you want to do it yourself? You've never cooked before, Nils retorted. Haven't I ever cooked for you? But recalling these 6 years, she seemed to have never done so. Harwell rolled up his sleeves. Let me do it instead. I handle all these household chores. Don't accidentally hurt yourself. Nils stated this time was different. It's your first time bringing friends home. I absolutely won't let you lose face. Leave it to me. Harwell nodded. This made Nils even more confident. Watch me show you my skills today. 3 hours later, dark cuisine emerged from the kitchen. Nils's face was completely black. The two awkwardly smiled. Appearance doesn't matter. Taste comes first. Who knew that upon tasting? All three had nearly identical reactions, so terrible it was impossible to swallow. Burnt on the outside and raw inside, Nils had to admit. Indeed, using transformation spells to make strawberries was too forced, with an earthy taste. Only Harwell commented favorably. The cream was whipped very well. The long baking time gave it a roasted aroma that I quite like. The girl quietly observed everything, watching Harwell dotingly wipe the cream from his sister's face. Then she smiled as if relieved, yet unaware that the boy's gaze rested entirely on her. At dusk, Harwell reminded his sister it was time to sleep. Nils invited the two to stay here tonight. Consider this place your own home. If you don't mind, you can also call me sister like Harwell does. Upon hearing this, Harwell froze in his movements. After sister left, the two planned to try calling her that. Who expected that just as they began to speak? Harwell warned, No, you can't. That's my sister. His tone carried a hint of threat. After making beds for the two, Harwell smiled as he left the room. Good night, see you tomorrow. Only after hearing the door close did they dare to breathe a sigh of relief. Never anger Harwell again in the future. Sister complex is terrifying. The girl plopped down on the bed with a thud, excited beyond measure for her first sleepover away from home. She suggested sneaking out for an adventure at midnight. If we go now, we might be able to find the man-eating vine. Long ago in the village, there was a boy with the same name as you, also called Ram. One day he went hunting in the mountains as usual and accidentally discovered a rabbit tangled in vines, unable to move. Ram approached to catch it. Who would have thought the vine would suddenly attack him? Poor Ram was thus engulfed by the vines, gradually disappearing into the grass. Days later, the villagers went up the mountain to search, but couldn't find any trace of him anywhere. Just then, the villagers discovered that beautiful flowers had somehow bloomed on the vines. Finally, they found him. Poor Ram, completely drained dry. What a large piece of human skin it was. This scene instantly scared the boy out of his wits. The girl walked around him. Just as she was about to chat about something else, she discovered he had fainted from fright. The girl tossed and turned, unable to sleep. Whenever she thought of that scene, she couldn't suppress her sadness. The first night of heartbreak. Unable to sleep, she decided to go out for a walk, but accidentally stepped on a flower. Looking down, she realized something was strange. How could there be flowers in such a place? Looking up, she saw the ladder leading to the balcony was covered with vines. Though very frightened, after hearing her sister's voice, the girl carefully climbed up. The magic wand told Nils, Harwell's innate skill can only be used on human bodies. If no more magic power is infused within 3 days, he will die. But if Nils's magic power is infused, it will die immediately. This will bring disaster to everything around. This is the curse belonging to witches. Suddenly came a creaking sound. She immediately cast magic and vigilance. Who would have thought that after the girl opened the window? She actually saw an incredible scene. Her sister's pearl-like tears slid down her cheeks, entwined by beautiful flowering vines, yet without any killing intent. Why did you come out so late? Emily didn't care whether she was a witch or not, only thinking her sister looked beautiful. She immediately approached and held her hand, marveling, Is this magic? The man-eating vine shyly retreated. Nils explained this child is timid. In a few more days it will wither, because her magic power is very special. Using it on living beings causes strong rejection, ultimately leading to death. Originally just encountered a dying seed and casually infused some magic into it. Didn't expect it would actually grow, but ultimately still failed. Continuing to infuse her magic power would only accelerate the withering. Emily volunteered, Please teach me magic, teacher. Early in the morning, Ram finally woke from his coma. The two only felt the balcony was a bit noisy. Who knew the sound was getting closer? The door opened with a bang. Emily was frantically chasing, scaring even the witch into terror. She leaped down from the high platform. Seeing this, Harwell immediately stepped forward, fortunately catching Nils just in time, then immediately shielded her behind him. What happened? Emily slowly came down to explain the whole situation. Ram got so angry he threw a direct punch. If someone doesn't want to teach, they just don't want to teach. Stop causing trouble for others. Harwell defied his sister for the first time. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? If we can save that vine, sister will be happy, right? Making an expression of as long as it makes sister happy, whatever we do is right. Or does sister have some concerns? This left Nils completely unable to cope. In the immortality plan, Nils had also once taught a student. But in the end, that person died tragically because of her. This will bring disaster to everything around. This is the curse belonging to witches. But speaking of which, past events were Nils' experiences. She's just an ordinary transmigrator. What psychological shadow should she have? Right, what does it have to do with me? Perhaps this could instead help her overcome the shadow. Alright then, I'll teach you magic, starting tomorrow. All 3 of you come to my magic class together, but you must obey my commands, understand? First you must run around the town 10 times. Then swing your sword 9,999 times. As long as you finish before the hourglass runs out, you can get the longed-for elixir of immortality. Harwell knew his friends were being teased. Not only was he not angry, he even wanted to please her. I believe Sister ultimately has their best interests at heart. Last night, he saw through the door crack, Sister sobbing over the nearly dead poet Vine. The hand that was originally going to open the door had to silently withdraw and wait outside the door. Nils decided to start teaching from the simplest transformation spell. She gave each of them a tree branch to replace magic wands. Ram, holding a green onion, advised them to be content, hearing that Nils would demonstrate for them. Harwell quickly leaned close to his sister's ear to remind her using magic directly. Won't there be danger of exposing your identity? Nils indicated it was fine when I'm in a good mood. I'm just like an ordinary wizard. She slowly chanted the incantation, the magic wand in her hand dancing. The clueless Ram thought nothing had happened. Who would have thought the next second a phoenix appeared out of thin air? Nils explained she had cast a transformation spell on the sparrow. Harwell suspected Sister's idea of an ordinary mage is already world-class, isn't it? Emily volunteered to try. She aimed the magic wand at the sparrow, then confidently chanted the incantation. But when she opened her eyes, nothing seemed to have changed. Nils and Harwell simultaneously pointed behind him. Ram's head had been turned into a big pumpkin. The angry pumpkin hit her with the green onion. Don't run, quickly change me back! Emily cast magic in panic, but instead turned him into a dish. Scallion fried pork head! Nils couldn't help but laugh out loud. Seeing his sister's amused smile, his lips also unconsciously curved upward. During this time, the two kept practicing magic. Sometimes it was teacup bears, sometimes it was frying pan chickens. The elephant would never know in its lifetime why it became a teapot. Nils was responsible for scoring. Ram finally turned the small bird into an origami crane. Being able to transform into the appearance of inanimate objects, she gave 57 points. While Emily, aside from accuracy still being somewhat lacking, had basically mastered the essence of transformation spells. 87 points could already be considered exceptionally talented. The girl was still regretting not being able to transform into specific animals. At this time, Ram suggested, "Let Harwell give a demonstration." Nils immediately perked up with interest. This should be good to watch. As a sister-obsessed maniac, how could he refuse? He slowly recited the incantation, magic runes surrounding his body. Even the wind moved because of him. Magic power poured out through the magic wand. The sparrow nervously froze in place. Who knew a gust of wind blew by? The little sparrow hopped away. Turned out it was just a coincidental breeze. Nils on the side held back her laughter. The two quietly discussed, not judging by appearances. After all, Harwell just had a face that looked like it would succeed, making the person involved very embarrassed. Unable to hold back her laughter, Nils collapsed on the lawn laughing hysterically. Harwell can't do it. He definitely can't manage it. Emily thought it was too early to conclude. Even stubborn stones have their day of enlightenment. Giving up after encountering setbacks, you're not fit to be a teacher. Nils sighed that today's children really have no manners, need to teach them properly. Fire magic instantly burst from her fingertips, thanks to Harwell appearing in time to block it. Nils quickly apologized. But look, isn't the answer right in your hands? Excellent swordsmanship talent, outstanding tactical instincts, and your innate healing arts can be used to strengthen your physique and help you save the weak. You are a temple knight, born to be one from the start. No need to worry about not being able to learn magic. Someday you will leave me to learn how to become an excellent knight. When that time comes, don't forget to repay me. You brat! Harwell said nothing, but turned and left in disappointment. Practicing magic, he wasn't good at day and night. The slow-witted Nils still thought he was enthusiastic about magic. Only Ram understood clearly. Harwell's persistence was because this matter concerned someone he cared about. Seeing Nils still not catching on, he had to give an example. Emily, what are you learning magic for? The person in question answered because it's cool. He shouldn't have asked her. People in this world have different motivations for progress. Some are for fame and fortune, some are for faith. But in my view, Harwell is neither. The reason he wants to achieve something in magic is simply to be able to share common goals with you. Mage and knight are two completely different paths. If he really leaves here to learn swordsmanship, when you meet again, will you still have the same relationship as now? Both airheaded girls simultaneously marveled at this boy's high emotional intelligence. The two pondered how to help Harwell regain his spirits. Nils had a flash of inspiration. She had a good idea. The three conspired together in whispers. The next day, she led everyone deep into the forest to learn attack magic. A pack of wolves happened to appear. Nils, being stared at menacingly by the wolf pack, Cried out in fear, we accidentally entered the territory of magic wolves. Everyone quickly get behind me. She chanted a spell and attacked forward. When the magic wolf pounced, she dramatically dropped her magic wand. The next second blood flowed. Harwell timely raised his sword for a counter kill. His first concern was turning back to check if his sister was safe. Nils spoke convincingly. In this environment, I can't chant spells in time. At this rate, we'll all die here. I've lived till now and never encountered such a crisis. The two complained she loved acting so much. She half knelt on the ground. Please, can you help me buy some time? Clumsy acting, yet it completely mesmerized Harwell into a big fool. He chuckled quietly. Sure, the deeper they went, the more coordinated their enemy killing became. Fighting increasingly powerful monsters all the way. The magic wolves had their entire den wiped out by them, becoming part of their training partners. The two little ones nodded simultaneously. Harwell is amazing, world's #1 sword, truly worthy of you. Nils also joined in. That was so dangerous. If Harwell hadn't been there, I really wouldn't know what to do. You really are an indispensable force by my side. The person involved didn't react for a long time. Ram thought it wouldn't work. After all, Harwell had always been mature and steady. Halfway through his words, he saw Harwell's cheeks turn rosy red, forcing Ram to retract the word steady. Really? Did I help, sister? Nils nodded, then say what you just said again. Emily, who used to like Harwell, was disillusioned. Love-brained men are no good. Ram, as an emotional master, had seen through it long ago. This counts as their own unique form of intimacy. Harwell kept asking his sister to say it again. Nils was too shy and begged for mercy. Several people returned to the wooden house. Emily chanted healing spells. The nearly dead man-eating vine slowly regained vitality. She excitedly raised her magic wand high. Nils didn't expect there would actually be results. Thanks to Emily's talent, she could accumulate enough magic power in such a short time. Although currently she could only slow down its decay to a certain extent. But this approach was feasible. Why was she so certain back then that there was no way? The period of seclusion seemed to have stopped her thinking as well, not daring to take a step forward. Emily excitedly called out, Teacher, let's give it a name. You said before that you didn't name it because you were afraid of sadness when parting. But now it's different. Leave teacher's worries to me to solve. What should we call it? How about Ball? Watching their joyful appearance, Nils couldn't help but think of her previous life, her poor student who died because of her. Emily finally decided to call her Wendy. She covered her faintly aching chest. You discuss it. I'll go back and change clothes first. Both noticed the teacher seemed uncomfortable, so they didn't disturb her further. The magic wand appeared again. You seem to like that girl very much. She denied it outright. As a teacher, taking care of her is only natural. The magic wand hit her sore spot. No matter how high a normal person's talent, there's ultimately a difference from true geniuses. Maybe she's still immersed in the joy of learning magic now, but someday she'll discover the insurmountable gap between you. Just like Mikal back then. That girl who appeared multiple times in her dreams, always covered in blood. Mikal was the first and last student Nils taught in her previous life. The novel had only a few brief words about their story. Even so, she could feel the gentle smile Nils showed when facing her. But it was exactly this kind of relationship. She ultimately died at Nils' hands. Even though she kept reminding herself they weren't the same person, that panic of fearing loss would still surge up from time to time. She clearly wanted to take this step herself, yet was still dominated by emotions. I'm really not suited for establishing such intimate relationships. Just then sounds came from outside, drawing back the curtains to look. Harwell was actually hanging upside down from a tree branch. Didn't I say not to enter my room through the window? Harwell smiled, but if I come through the front door, you'll lock it, won't you? He invited his sister to go see the town together. Nils showed resistance. I just like staying at home. I don't like meeting people. Why do you always try to persuade me to go out? Harwell thought for a moment. Because spring is coming, that expectant and gentle smile. As if saying, I will be like sunshine, forever by your side. Discovering she was no longer wanted, Nils grinned broadly. Finally can live freely. Harwell handed his sister a candied hawthorn stick. She turned and took a small bite. Instantly her mind was bewitched. The two students were still complaining the criminal only stole 3 loaves of bread, and they issue a wanted poster for this? After the church fell, everyone thought the city's security would be ruined. Didn't expect that after changing leaders, life actually got better and better. The real culprit who had destroyed the church smiled bitterly. As soon as the group appeared on the street, they were surrounded by gazes. The siblings standing together directly beautified the entire street. The two students wisely hurried away. Harwell grabbed his sister and quickly followed. After the 4 finished tasting delicious food, they went to the magic workshop to shop. Nils, getting a magical girl transformation wand, was unusually excited. Like triggering a mechanism, she kept striking poses. At this moment, Harwell coughed lightly twice. Appearing in a shining new outfit, Nils pulled out her black card and decisively bought it, then immediately headed to the next shop. Ram asked if he really wouldn't stop her. The teacher is about to buy out this entire street. Harwell indicated it was fine. I knew this day would come, so I specially saved money these years that could be freely spent. Her happiness is more important than anything. While the master and student were looking at the map, someone bumped into them hard. The other person even arrogantly warned him to watch where he was walking. What kind of person is that? He clearly came over and bumped into me first. Emily suddenly realized her money pouch was gone. She quickly handed a pile of things to the sister. Stop right there, you thief. How dare you steal my money? Perfect timing to sacrifice you to my new magic wand. The man backed away in fear. She chanted the incantation silently. Blazing fire magic shot out like an arrow from a bow die. Suddenly came a warning sound. Attack intent detected. With a bang, the attack was blocked. The rebounded Emily fell to the ground. Surrounded by a golden cage, Ram quickly stepped forward to check the situation, but was stopped by Nils. She looked in the direction the thief had fled. The thief was blocked by someone who arrived. George Moore, 37 years old, lives at 19 Bem Street. You are now under arrest for theft. As for you, Strange, the woman didn't find Emily's personal information. If you're an outsider, come with us. Nils interrupted. What did Emily do wrong? What reason do you have to take her away? The woman rubbed her head in annoyance. Do you see this? This is the symbol of the Heimdall Light Society. In this country, only those wearing this badge have the right to use force. Your companion just used magic to attack this man. According to the law, we will arrest you for the crime of taking justice into your own hands. Another man stepped forward. If you resist, you will be considered an accomplice. You'd better not act rashly. Nils slowly raised her hand. Is that so? The next second, the golden cage shattered instantly. If I were to act rashly, what could you possibly do about it? She actually forced her way through the restraining device, without prior knowledge of her magical circuits. The only possibility would be to break it by injecting an overload of magical power. She had just reminded the man beside her to be careful, when she saw the man kneel on one knee beneath Nils's dress. Oh, powerful and beautiful lady! I am already deeply captivated by your strength. Could you please use your strong and powerful foot to kick me hard in the face? Harwell drew his sword and leaped up. Unexpectedly, that sword strike was blocked by the man's arm. Harwell launched another offensive. The man withdrew his infatuated expression, quickly moved his body and retreated, raised his hands and laughed. It seems you already have another dog. The woman stepped forward to scold. Oliver, I've told you countless times, no getting aroused during duty. The man used healing abilities to close his wounds. Nils observed carefully. This man, like Harwell, was a paladin. Emily grabbed Ram's arm. What should we do? Are they about to fight? The woman remained vigilant of Nils's next move. A major battle was about to break out between both sides. Though Nils didn't want to expose her identity, she couldn't just watch her disciple being taken away. The moment she was about to act, Ram suddenly appeared and urgently called for a stop. The woman warned that ordinary citizens should not approach. But this street is only so big, swords have no eyes. Injuring one or two innocent civilians isn't impossible. The purpose of you two being here is to punish those who have done wrong, not to expand the harm. If it can be resolved peacefully, wouldn't that be wonderful? Who would have thought Ram had such talent? Emily hurriedly echoed with an apology. Please don't take him to prison. Given the current situation, this is the only way. Considering her young age and ignorance, not going to prison is possible, but she must go to headquarters for guidance. And all of you must go. Nils was naturally pleased. She had been interested in this Heimdall Light Society from the beginning. The two leaders were no ordinary people, placed in the previous world's church. They would both have captain-level strength. Especially that Paladin, taking Harwell's strike head-on just now, was purely to test him. They also have significant influence among the people. Who exactly established such an organization? And that magical device that could restrain people, never mentioned in the novel. Who could be the one who made it? The butterfly effect from Nils destroying the church is growing larger. What will happen in the future is no longer something she can predict. She needs more intelligence about this world. Soon they arrived at the Light Society's base. This place was transformed from the church's former base. George Moore, habitual thief, sentenced to 3 months according to law. Staff members scolded him for breaking his oath. To think they had believed he had reformed. The man complained it wasn't that he didn't want to work properly. People with criminal records not only find no one willing to hire them, but also face humiliation. His mother's illness couldn't be delayed any longer, so he had no choice but to return to his old ways. Just when the man thought these high and mighty people wouldn't care about his life or death, the executive officer arranged one-on-one embroidery classes for him, then sent his mother to the treatment center for medical care. He would spend these 3 months properly reforming and studying. Such humane handling left everyone in disbelief. Real name registration had only been online for 2 months. Emily and Ram truthfully provided their personal information. When it came to Nils, Harwell stepped forward to cover. We are siblings. Our parents have both passed away. We are native residents of Greenstone Village. After registration, Ram didn't understand why he concealed the facts. If exposed, it could result in a charge of deception. Harwell was unconcerned. Population registration is such a massive workload. If they had to verify everything one by one, wouldn't that exhaust them to death? I just don't want to be entangled. You've seen the outcome of being too honest. The little girl was questioned until her head was spinning. You don't need to be so serious either. Let's just keep this as our secret. After much persuasion, Emily finally managed to escape. For a moment, she even began to suspect whether her father was some fugitive criminal. Staff members brought over a stack of books. All of these must be memorized. On the left are the latest national regulations. On the right is the development history of Heimdall Light Society. As for those, they're Oliver's autobiography. Just use them for brewing tea. However, such a formidable paladin was merely small fry before Nils. The woman was certain she was at least a high-level mage. Though the Light Society's work was demanding, it was highly inclusive. Everyone came from various regions and social strata, yet never discriminated or harbored hatred toward each other. Precisely because of this, many extraordinary individuals gathered here. She quite liked this place. Nils's judgment was indeed correct. The establishment of this organization was truly a chain reaction from her destruction of the church. After the church and the witches' battle, the stubborn faction that swore to follow the former pope gradually disappeared. While the reform faction all joined the Light Society, the current leaders are Chief Bright and Knight Captain Oliver respectively. Suddenly, a shout interrupted her thoughts. Corporal punishment of children results in 5 days detention, including withholding food and verbal cold violence. I really hope Mother could see this. Malicious damage to others' property will result in half a year or more of reform. Calculating this way, Ram's sister would have to serve at least 2 years. The regulations are so strict. The security force is short-staffed. The chief happens to be the type who can't tolerate even a grain of sand in his eyes. Regardless of the severity of the crime, he demands strict law enforcement. If he knew we let you go last time, we would definitely be severely punished. But we're still in the early stages of organizational development. Both legal education and law enforcement need manpower. So I have a proposal here. Would you consider joining Heimdall Light Society? While Harwell was still holding a grudge against Oliver for his previous pursuit of his sister, he immediately proposed a duel. His companions cheered for Harwell. Only his sister remained silent, as if she had already seen which way the scales of this battle would tip. Harwell suddenly pushed off the ground and shot forward. His sword-swinging speed was too fast to catch with the naked eye, yet Oliver was able to neutralize them all. At this moment, Harwell's figure vanished like a ghost. In just an instant, he appeared above, about to launch a sneak attack. Oliver's lips curved upward, very good judgment. Then under his sisters' and companions' shocked gazes, he easily dodged the sword with just a slight twist of his body. While Harwell was still stunned, the sword tip was already at his throat. Your fundamentals are still too weak. He pointed out Harwell's current swordsmanship strengths and weaknesses with piercing accuracy. However, through this match he also clearly realized Harwell possessed an insatiable thirst for knowledge to improve his swordsmanship. Surpassing himself was merely a matter of time. The little golden-haired boy tentatively asked his sister, "Can I stay here to learn swordsmanship?" Unexpectedly, his sister flatly refused. "I don't agree. This place is so far away, how much time would it take to go back and forth every day? What about home? Are you going to leave all the housework to me? I'm begging you to think about others before doing things, okay?" His sister's lecture made Harwell's little head gradually droop, since sister said so. Nils chuckled softly and flicked his little head. "Fool, if you listen to everything I say, where is your own will? Listen carefully. Harwell, you never owed me anything. You have the right to make decisions for your own life. If I'm the type who would ignore your future for my own convenience, then I wouldn't be worth your devotion, understand?" She gently stroked Harwell's head, telling him to boldly do what he wanted. She would wait for him properly at home. Sister's smile was as brilliant as warm sunlight, more dazzling than the stars. In this autumn day, it was like a warm current, irrigating the little golden-haired boy's heart. Harwell slightly lowered his reddened face, muttering in his heart, "Sister is too unfair." That Harwell who only gave finally understood his own will. Then, "Sister, I'm going." Before leaving, he repeatedly assured that he would continue to do housework and meals as usual, absolutely not lowering sister's quality of life because of his studies. Nils waved her hand, mentally calculating to make him a teleportation array. The woman smiled brightly before leaving. "Don't worry, we'll send people to your village to set up a teleportation array. He won't need to cross mountains every day to come here for classes." Then she took the master and 2 disciples to meet the magic department head. While walking, she introduced the current situation of Heimdall Light Society. This country's rule of law can be said to have only gotten on track in recent years. But before that, most residents in the cities committed minor offenses for survival. People who had committed small mistakes even made up more than half the city's population. "We must enforce the law strictly. Otherwise, without deterrent effect, we cannot reduce crime. But arresting everyone for every little thing would make society unable to function normally. The city would be empty while prisons overflowed. So we came up with a solution. The minister is researching a magical device that can alter time perception. Prisoners think they've served 3 months, but in reality, only 3 days have passed." At this point, Nils's expression darkened. The previous Nils, in order to research immortality magic, had also attempted to dabble in alchemy. Devices that could alter the flow of time were like byproducts left from that time. Could this magic department head possibly be? Just as they entered, the startled latter gave a shudder. A sneeze directly knocked the minister down. The woman hurriedly stepped forward to help the minister up. Sorry for making you all witness this embarrassment. This is our magic manufacturing department head, Mikal Hyman. Seeing that familiar face again, Nils stood frozen in place for a long time, recalling past moments, that final meeting before death. Her tears couldn't stop flowing. Ram was startled. Could it be because of separating from Harwell? The next second, Emily pushed him away with a slap. Actually, teacher has a special constitution. Whenever she sees sad things, she can't help but cry, like life and death partings and such. Seeing her like this, that girl opposite probably won't live much longer. Hearing the commotion, Nils instantly bristled. That's not it. You're getting more and more ridiculous. This time was different. This was the first time she cried without feeling that endless loneliness. I understand, Nils, even if you face disgust and misunderstanding bearing all sins. You only wanted to save those companions who died because of you. This time, it's the joy of recovery after loss, isn't it? One with tear incontinence syndrome, one crying from low self-esteem, made the surrounding people complain. Were these two master and disciple in their previous life? Even their fragile hearts are exactly the same. Nils wiped her tears. After going round and round, Mikal had returned here. Even her personality was as timid as before. Could you please help me prepare a bottle of calming perfume? Using wisteria and marigold as base, it can help calm emotions. But Mikal disagreed. That has strong side effects. Have you considered blending it with stems and leaves? After hearing this, Mikal had a flash of inspiration, quickly analyzing the preparation method. The staff was surprised. It seems this woman is quite good at handling Mikal. Emily on the side felt inexplicably annoyed. She tugged at her teacher's sleeve, pulling the two apart some distance. After the perfume was completed, Mikal's mood indeed calmed considerably. Sorry for making you witness that embarrassment. Only then did the staff have a chance to introduce, these are criminal suspects and their accomplices. Considering they're first offenders and quite capable, I brought them to see if they could help. Emily protested indignantly. Your magic department head doesn't look much older than me. Is she really that capable? Mikal cried. Not really. She was born into a family of mages. Her brothers and sisters were all renowned mages. Only she had the least talent. Her disappointed parents used connections to send her to study at the church. But when the girl arrived there, the church had already been reduced to ruins by the witch. With nowhere to go, she was later taken in by Bright. But here I can help others, and have indeed made some useful things. The staff immediately objected. There's no should be about it, that's exactly right. Mikal smiled shyly. I still really like my current life. It could be considered a blessing in disguise. No one noticed Nils's bitter smile. Mikal began introducing her research. She divided the magic department into 4 different sections: basic magic deconstruction and simplification, magical device research, weapon enchantment, and finally the main event. This is what we're currently focusing our research on, development that can alter the flow of time. Don't underestimate it. If successful, humans might even be able to achieve immortality through it. Nils's pupils contracted in shock. This building was the church's base after its destruction. During the cleanup of the ruins, they accidentally discovered remnants of magical arrays that the church had researched halfway. Initially thinking it was just an ordinary array for temporarily freezing time, but as research deepened, I discovered their ambition went far beyond that. Once successful, perhaps all humanity will escape the threat of death, becoming immortal beings like elves. Emily questioned, isn't this so-called dark magic? Mikal denied this. Fantasy novels circulating among the people often categorize magic as good or bad, calling any spell beyond human understanding dark magic. But in fact, magic itself is neutral, with no distinction between good and evil. Nils didn't refute, for example. Transformation magic may be a convenient and interesting spell for you, but for those sparrows whose forms you change, is it the same? There have been many spells in history labeled as dark magic that were gradually cleared in later research, becoming important links in magical research history. Mikal gripped her hand. This research has gained royal approval. It's completely legal. You will support me, won't you? Nils withdrew her hand. It's not like that. This path is full of thorns and hardships. The former Nils had also naively thought she was dedicating her life to academics, but soon she discovered reality was vastly different from her beautiful expectations, pressure and coercion, being forced to harm innocent people, and finally, complete betrayal by everyone. Immortality is an irresistible temptation for most humans. Once this research becomes truly known, its final development direction will likely gradually spiral out of control. When you want to stop the experiments then, for those nobles eagerly awaiting immortality, it would be unacceptable. At this moment, the magic wand appeared. Don't you plan to kill her? This doesn't match the witch's usual style. Nils told it to shut up. Think about why you came back? To strangle the immortality plan in its cradle, but it's about to be revived. When else would you act if not now? You should destroy it, eliminate it. Let corpses and blood soak this city, just like you did before. Nils said she would find a way. Acting rashly would only alert the enemy. If during this time she really succeeds, what will you do then? It doesn't matter, she can't do it, because that child has no talent at all. She knew well that her disciple could never comprehend it. There must be someone behind the scenes. After thinking it over, Nils decided to get clues directly from her disciple, Mikal. Actually, I am the witch who destroyed the church. I did all this to stop the immortality plan. If you don't want chaos in the world, tell me who instructed you to do this work. No, this method is still inappropriate. At this time Harwell returned, carrying the drunk Oliver. The man had promised to teach him swordsmanship, but only arranged a bunch of basic exercises, then ran off to drink by himself. Oliver pulled Mikal over. Since Zora isn't free to manage today, you come join us too. Mikal quickly refused. Nils suddenly had an idea. She wanted to drink. If she could get Mikal drunk, she might be able to get information from her. Mikal still refused to participate. She had work to do. Who knew Nils would manipulate her feelings? So it's like that. Sorry. I always felt we got along well, wanted to deepen our relationship, didn't expect to cause you trouble. Seems I was being presumptuous. Mikal fell for this completely. The work can wait until tomorrow. Harwell, who understood her best, couldn't figure out what sister wanted to do. Soon the party began. Mikal drank one cup after another. Nils continued pouring, rarely meeting someone so compatible. Let's not go home until we're drunk tonight. The girl replied, me too. I don't know why, being with you always gives me a sense of déjà vu. From the first moment I saw you, I unconsciously wanted to get close, as if we already knew each other in a previous life. I was actually very insecure as a child, and still am a bit now. After coming here, I met close companions for the first time, felt needed for the first time, and for the first time, shouldered such an important mission. I absolutely must succeed, even if it costs me everything. Mikal gradually fell asleep. Sorry, whether before or now. She had never been able to fulfill a teacher's responsibilities, repeatedly destroying your dreams. But even so, Nils hoped she could live on. She turned off the lights and left. While they were sleeping, she came to the archives, searching for the magic department's staff list, hoping to find some clues. What are you doing here? Nils spun around sharply. Damn, was she discovered? But she saw the most familiar person. Harwell, why is it you? Nils hurriedly stuffed the book back. I think I forgot something here, so I came back to look. Harwell closed the door and walked in. Is that so? What thing? While speaking, he locked the door behind him. Nils pretended to be troubled. Emily forgot her staff here. Harwell exposed her. The staff is in the carriage. After thinking of many reasons, all were refuted by him. Nils could only apologize. When I get back, I'll explain everything to you slowly, okay? Facing those helpless eyes, Nils guiltily looked away. Please, Harwell, don't do this. In the past, he had also shown such an expression once, on the day she decided to abandon him and embark on her journey alone. Harwell buried his head in sister's arms. I don't like you keeping things from me. You seem to hit it off with that girl. You've met her before, haven't you? These 6 years, I've been waiting for you to confess your background to me, waiting for you to let me share your pain. As long as I persist in staying by your side, someday you'll acknowledge I'm someone who can stand beside you. But now, you want to hide from me again to do something dangerous? He suddenly moved close to her face. Nils, you once told me that my life doesn't exist for you. But now I also want to tell you, no one can survive alone in this world. Don't bear everything alone. No matter what happens, I'll stay by your side. Nils stared at him in shock. After all these years, he still remembered that she had once promised him that no matter what happened in the future, they would face it together. But from the moment she reunited with Mikal, she seemed to have become that witch again, unwilling to open her heart to anyone. Nils pulled out that book. I've thought about confessing everything to you, but I'm afraid that after you know the truth you'll detest me, but perhaps this is the risk I should bear. Nils had once completely destroyed his life. That was her first time experiencing human sorrow and guilt. Tartarus, who captured you back then, was employed by the church. The purpose was to search for suitable children among the people, to train them as assassins. Besides that, they also used money to tempt and force most of the country's potential mages through violence, all to complete their ambition, which is the immortality plan Mikal is currently working on. And I was once a member of it. The red-haired witches stood equal with the gods, yet were hunted to extinction by greedy humans. The sun god even scorned them, only granting immortality to obedient believers. So the witches took advantage of the night to intoxicate the believers, and stole immortality, based on people's respect for the sun god and hatred of witches. The church was born. They began implementing the immortality plan. From this, a female infant was born, who could speak at 6 months. She possessed unparalleled magical talent, able to easily cast high-level magic without needing incantations or staffs. Later she named herself Nils Glary, but the church people called her the witch. After turning 14, the church gradually involved her in immortality plan research. Her first partner was an overly silent paladin. Shadow bugs had destroyed his vocal cords, He could only occasionally make a roar or two. No one knew, nor wanted to know his inner thoughts. Only Nils, before each experiment began, would tirelessly try to communicate with him, having the man write what he wanted to say on her hand. The man hesitated somewhat. His outstretched hand withdrew again, but still decided to tell her his thoughts. He gestured on Nils's hand. "You're noisy." After Nils understood, she laughed until she couldn't close her mouth. "Then there's no choice. You'll just have to endure it." That was the first companion the girl ever had. Unfortunately, at that time, no one had taught her what it meant to cherish. Seeing the man had adapted quite a bit, she decided to increase the dosage. It might hurt a little. "You must work hard." Legend says witch's blood contains the power of immortality. Just a few drops can greatly improve the human body's limits. Mages can break through bottlenecks to expand their magical sources. Paladins can strengthen their bodies to become immune to harm. At age 14, the experiments achieved remarkable success. After that, the church transformed the Paladin order into assassins. But this artificial witch's blood, behind the prosperity it brought, came at an unimaginable cost. Because of her experiments, nearly half the people died from bodily rejection. Even those who survived became neither human nor ghost. Nils, who didn't understand human emotions, how could she comprehend? She only felt this was necessary sacrifice. Thanks to these people, the church's influence expanded. Only this way would we not disappoint the world's expectations. The woman roared at her. "They are people, not objects. People have dignity and rights from birth. No one is born to be someone else's sacrifice. Even you are the same." The girl fell into thought. The man told her not to take Helen's words to heart, but she asked back, "Why does everyone have names? But only I don't." The man brushed it off. "Because you're special. Special people don't need such things." "Liar, you didn't say that before." That day, the girl heard the man suggest, "It's about time to give her a name, calling her witch every time. Don't you find it inconvenient?" The man firmly opposed. "If she gets a name, she'll develop feelings. Then it'll be troublesome when we want to dispose of her." For the following days, the girl spent time with her research subject, greeting him every day, caring about his physical condition, even though he never responded to her. The girl extended her hand. "If you can't speak, you can write here." Facing that completely unresponsive face, the girl slowly withdrew her hand. "Right, he can no longer respond now. All of this is my fault. It's all my fault." That year, the witch was 14, 3 years and 6 months before she betrayed the church. Even now, she still occasionally dreams of his appearance. The boy, sharp as a wolf. That man. What was his name? Nils panicked. She hadn't mentioned the transmigration yet, and had never brought up his name, so Harwell didn't know that was him. Seeing sister's difficulty, he had to give up asking. "But someday I will know," Nils asked tentatively. "Don't you think I'm a very cruel person?" Harwell was puzzled. "Why? All the disasters were brought by the church, not you. Don't hate the wrong person. Even if the victim was me, I would never resent you for it." She looked down with a bitter smile. From the moment she decided to atone for herself, how many painful and lonely days and nights had she experienced until now? But now she had someone to discuss strategies with, someone to confide her troubles to. She was no longer alone. The next morning, hungover Mikal just opened her eyes to see Nils smiling brilliantly. "Good morning." She was stunned for a second, then immediately apologized. "It was supposed to be a welcome party for you, but I got drunk alone." The next second, she vomited all over the floor. Nils told her to rest first, but Mikal refused. The others should be coming soon. As magic department head, she couldn't set an example by skipping work. Today was also Nils's first day joining the magic department. "Since everyone will be colleagues from now on, could you take me to meet them?" The two brought Emily along. The girl carefully noticed that Nils had an earring. "Quickly tell me which little handsome guy gave it to you?" Nils brushed it off. "Bought it at the market before." Actually, this was magic for communicating with Harwell. As soon as Mikal opened the door, she was startled by the noise inside. The sharp-tongued gentleman who had the upper hand in arguments, and the muscle woman who resorted to fighting when she couldn't win verbally. They were arguing constantly. Mikal got angry. "I'm asking, do you think continuing to argue like this will lead to any results?" Nils was surprised that Mikal, who was always submissive to everyone, could now directly express her dissatisfaction. It seems these two had earned her deep trust. "Sorry for making you witness this. Actually, they have a very good relationship." Nils carefully observed the two. Basic Magic Department Leader Gale, no parents mentioned in records, appears to have noble blood. Weapon Enchantment Department Leader Reina, a battle-hardened veteran who had been stationed at the frontier, stripped of position after conflict with superiors and came here of common birth. There was also another, Magic Device Department Leader Modiri, one of the earliest Heimdall Light Society members, an effort-oriented person who rose from the bottom, but strangely, he walked without making sound. At this time, Harwell communicated, "How are things on your end?" Nils felt this group was somewhat abnormal, but based on experience among these three, Gale from the royal city had the most suspicion. Though Reina had broken with the military, acting couldn't be ruled out. Modiri was also the one with the cleanest record among them. but there were still some concerning aspects, combined with the information Harwell collected. In other words, the mole was indeed among these three. To root out the mole, Nils had already entered the game. The magic department's library must contain research results from the church's leftover immortality plan. But like in her previous life, they were all insignificant experimental reports. Without the witch's blood, they hadn't researched anything of value. At this moment, someone handed her the book she was looking for. Nils instinctively took it, then suddenly screamed after realizing. The man told her to keep it down. He snuck out to slack off. Don't attract everyone over. It was this man again, always appearing silently behind her. Information about the sun god collected by the church? Why the sudden interest in such ancient legends? Nils made excuses that she was just casually reading, as a believer wanting to understand some things. The man said he meant no offense, he wasn't from this country, but in his birthplace there's a saying man can conquer heaven. But he greatly admired the church for such behavior of mortals acting as gods. Faith is a mirror. It can reflect people's hopes that they entrust to gods but cannot obtain, and push the desires they dare not face onto witches, using this as spiritual comfort and escape. Before Nils came, he and Mikal conducted experiments together. Encountering any difficulties? Nils sensed he was testing her. Biology and time, which does the Light Society think would be a better starting point? According to legend, they usually believe immortality only exists in specific species, like witches. Therefore, the church's research direction has always been changing the body's energy, making it strong enough to resist the erosion of time. But this idea has been proven wrong. Legend says the witch's immortality was stolen from the sun god. Assuming this story isn't fabricated but actually happened, then what the witches stole should be time magic. The array I saw in Mikal's room before also proves the consistency of their thinking. Nils said this had enormous hidden dangers. If humans could freely manipulate the flow of time, applying it to others or even the entire world, it could cause irreparable massive harm, perhaps. That witch who destroyed the church came from some future point by reversing time and space. The moment the truth surfaced, Nils's expression froze. Her body unconsciously stepped backward. Why would this man tell her these things? Just speculation? Or was he testing her? The man suddenly returned to his carefree appearance. These were just his baseless guesses. Because of infinite possibilities, magic is so fascinating. How about it? Interested in joining the basic magic department? At this time, Emily came looking for her teacher, but saw the two alone in a room. Mikal immediately exploded. You're slacking off again! If this continues, I'll cut your funding. Before leaving, the man didn't forget to recruit. Remember to consider my proposal. Nils fully realized things had become complicated. Later, she told Harwell about this. Much of what this person said overlaps too highly with past events. Very suspicious. Harwell thought conversely that his suspicion was the lightest. If he were a mole, he would definitely try to disguise himself, making himself look like everyone else, rather than actively mentioning the church identity to expose himself. Being so open about it actually makes it hard to suspect his motives. Moreover, you were alone together for a while. If he wanted to do something, he would have acted then. But this was just his judgment based on intuition. How about I still come with you? Nils said it was fine, she would protect herself. If you're really worried, let's maintain communication like this. As a witch, even when she single-handedly confronted the entire church back then, she never fell into disadvantage. But now she always felt uneasy, with a feeling that something was about to happen. After arriving at Mikal's office, she saw a girl named Erin from the Weapon Enchantment Division. She had just received a letter from Minister Mikal at the door, so she helped bring it over. Along with the letter were starvine seeds. Strange. They had plenty of starvine here. Could it be some rare variety? Nils smelled blood, immediately stepped forward telling her to let go. In an instant, the starvine grew wildly. Nils immediately protected Erin in her arms. Hearing the explosion, Harwell quickly left the training ground and ran toward the magic department. The entire roof was pierced by vines. Endless vines wrapped around Nils, greedily sucking the witch's blood. The starvine gradually turned red. Only then did she realize this was a trap. If she cast magic directly, it would blow up this girl too. But if she let it escape, the tragic ending of her previous life would repeat. She might lose them again. Hearing the explosion, Harwell didn't hesitate and immediately rushed to her side. The moment she saw the boy, Nils immediately seized upon this glimmer of hope. She shouted with desperate urgency, "Quick! Chase after those vines! They've stolen my blood!" Without a moment's hesitation, Harwell leaped straight out the window, with the captain of the guard following close behind. Emily carefully helped her teacher to her feet. Watching the trembling girl with concern, Nils suddenly sensed something was wrong. The one who planned this incident might not be alone. Meanwhile, Harwell chased into the depths of the forest. After careful observation, he discovered the vine's appearance was extremely similar to his sister's starlight vine. Nils had said before that starlight vines nourished by blood would recognize their master. The way it was fleeing looked as if someone was controlling it from behind. Timing his moment perfectly, Harwell leaped forward and split the vine into fragments from the middle, but after several sword strikes, He couldn't damage the vine's root, instead arousing its survival instinct. Recalling Nils's tone at that time, it was the first time she had spoken to him so earnestly, so he absolutely would not disappoint her. The staff caught up with them in time. Stop quickly. He saw the vine moving frantically downward. Harwell knew the path ahead was fraught with mortal danger, yet still jumped off the cliff without hesitation. In her previous life, Mikal was Nils's only disciple. She excitedly told her teacher, "I found a method." But Nils, at that time, was like a lifeless, dejected figure. She excitedly handed over the research report. "Look, there was research showing that lowering body temperature can slow wound deterioration. If we approach it from this angle." Nils pushed her away. "It's useless. I've already tested it. This only makes people sluggish. It can't truly extend lifespan." She asked her teacher to look at her supplementary research again, if we improve it a bit more. Before she could finish, Nils interrupted. "I told you this won't work." The research report was scattered on the floor. She curled up and begged Mikal to let her handle it alone. "You being here will only hold me back." Seeing Nils's pale face, Emily was both worried and curious. This was the first time she had seen her teacher have such intense emotional fluctuations. Whether facing wolf packs or attacks from the Light Society, she had always appeared so composed. What could make Teacher Nils so frightened? What was special about her blood? Mikal asked Nils what had happened. "From the moment you stepped into the magic department, I guess you probably carried some kind of burden. Most magicians have unknown pasts. I don't want to pry into your affairs, but now something like this has happened in my jurisdiction. I can't ignore it." Emily raised her hand in agreement. "Please, I want to help my teacher." Nils looked at the two of them somewhat dazedly. She was a witch. Wherever she went, disgust and fear permeated the air. She inexplicably remembered Harwell's words, "It's okay, don't bear everything alone." The shadows of the past seemed to have dissipated considerably. Before long, a serious disaster might break out here. "I'd like to ask you both for a favor." For these 3 days, everyone had been searching for Harwell's traces. The man thought there was no need to continue searching. After 3 days of searching, even if he were dead, they should have found a body. Falling from such a height, if not dead then at least half crippled, even if alive. Where could a cripple go? At this moment, his calf suddenly felt pain. He saw vines slowly winding upward. He turned to borrow a weapon from Rena, but the woman stood motionless, just staring in shock at her own blood-covered hand. Nils is the legendary Pandora's box. Some sacrifice their entire families, just to obtain a single drop of magical blood for eternal youth. Others seek to break through their limitations and stand alongside geniuses, using themselves as experiments only to die from their bodies exploding. The girl was rejected by her family from childhood. Her parents called her a worthless good-for-nothing, working with her most beloved teacher on immortality research. Yet she still faced disdain and rejection. "You'll only hold me back here. It would be faster if I worked alone." She silently picked up the scattered documents from the floor, wiped away her tears, suppressed her sobs, telling herself to keep trying. Even if she could only help the teacher with menial tasks, that would be worthwhile. When she discovered the syringe on the desk, a crazy idea flooded her mind. She inserted the needle into her body. The overwhelming witch's power instantly spread throughout her entire being. Meanwhile, Nils was still filled with self-reproach. What she said earlier seemed rather harsh. Just as she was thinking about apologizing, she saw that the person inside had already transformed completely. The girl called out softly, "Teacher, now I won't become a burden to you, will I?" Time goes back to this life, but even though the witch destroyed the cathedral in this world, there were still those who coveted the witch's blood. The girl, treated as an experimental subject, first felt headaches and fever, then all the blood in her body exploded, continuously drained by the vines, eventually dying in agony, facing failure after failure. The woman completely broke down, even constantly adjusting the dosage. Using the lives of all magic department members as the price, still no successful subject emerged. If the final outcome was still failure, what was the point of everything she had done? The moment she pushed open the door, she saw Mikal standing inside, as if he had been waiting for her all along. She asked in surprise, "Why are you here?" Mikal angrily questioned. "That's what I should be asking you, Hain." She laughed maniacally, "Delighted to see you, standing here completely unharmed. How does it feel now? Can you sense strange powers emerging?" "How wonderful." Mikal shook off her filthy hands. "Stop acting. Strange diseases are breaking out throughout the base, yet you alone remain unaffected. I'm giving you one last chance to explain." Hain feigned pity. "I was just rather fortunate." Mikal could no longer suppress his anger. "How many people's rooms did you pass on your way here? Yet you didn't offer aid to Amione, attacking Nils, poisoning all magic department members. You did all of this, didn't you? So what? What can you possibly do about it?" Mikal was suddenly controlled and entangled by vines. "Poison? You've got it wrong. The one who killed people was the woman you brought back. Haven't you ever wondered, why would a mage with such outstanding talent come here to start from the bottom? How foolish. In this world, strength is everything. When the strong submit to the weak, there must be ulterior motives. You were all deceived by her. That woman is..." Suddenly Nils interrupted. Is what? If you've forgotten my name, I don't mind introducing myself again. Nils Glare, if you still can't remember. The next second, with a bang, she brushed back her hair, curling her lips like a superior, effortlessly crushing Hain. It doesn't matter. The dead don't speak. Hain never expected she would actually kill without hesitation. Who exactly told you about the witch's blood? Harmed so many people, and what did you want to use it for? Hain gripped Mikal tightly. People like you who have had everything from birth probably can never understand the pain of us ordinary people. To gain opportunities to learn, I became the lackey of the powerful. To earn the favor of geniuses, I worked day and night. I abandoned everything for my ideals, yet could never bridge the gap created by talent. Then you appeared. This might be my only chance, in this lifetime, to change my destiny. Don't worry, to test the proper dosage. This is the last bit of blood I have left. I won't waste such precious material on her. Wish me luck. The tragedy of the past life repeated itself. Just 1 second before the woman was about to inject, Harwell and Emily descended from above. The next moment she was subdued on the ground. Hain was unwilling, furiously shrieking, "Give it back to me." Even stranger was, why would her own starlight vines obey this woman's commands? After stabilizing the situation, Nils wanted to ask them for a favor. Something big might happen soon. I just contacted Harwell. We need to coordinate our story externally, claiming that Harwell has gone missing. Using the search for the missing Harwell as pretense, we'll dispatch personnel to search the vicinity, preventing the perpetrator from taking my blood away from here. Currently, we suspect the attacker of Nils was an insider, and we already have a suspected target. In that recent attack, she could have handled it herself, but that girl used her body to prevent her from using magic, allowing those vines to escape. Once Hain cannot leave this place, she might carry out her plan internally. I hope you can help me create some serum. Mikal indicated no problem, but before that, you need to tell me what exactly is going on. Why does the perpetrator absolutely need to obtain your blood? Nils finally confessed. Regardless of how you react after hearing this, you must remember that our priority is resolving the current crisis. I am the witch you're all hunting. Upon hearing this, Hain argued vigorously. You heard what he said. She's the witch, the enemy of the Order of Light. I'm your comrade. Give it to me. The next second, a blade was suddenly pressed against her throat, causing Sister to get hurt, then forcing her to reveal her identity. Each and every offense is enough for you to die 10,000 times. I'm very angry right now, you'd better be sensible. Otherwise, while speaking, she also glared at Mikal, until Sister spoke up, let go. Only then did Harwell obediently withdraw. Mikal, that thing in your hands, you should understand its effects. All this time, I've been pondering a question. That day, what killed that person? Was it the witch's blood, or my arrogant belief that I was different from her? So this time, I hope you will speak with her. If it were you, would you also gamble everything you possess? For that infinitesimal hope? Hain desperately pleaded with Mikal. Return the witch's blood to her. This world is inherently unfair. I just want to break through my limitations. Give myself a chance. If it were you, you would surely understand, wouldn't you? No, I cannot do that. Mikal showed no wavering. Though we were equally mediocre in talent, never achieving any outstanding accomplishments. Whenever the night grew deep and quiet, I too would feel pain and inferiority about myself. When Nils told me about the witch blood's effects, I also had that momentary temptation. I loves her colleagues here, loves this job, loves the sense of achievement that comes from solving difficult problems. Therefore, I will not gamble my entire life for this minuscule hope, nor do I wish to see you harm yourself for it. Rather than achieving nothing in this lifetime, what I fear more is the possibility that I might never be able to engage in academic research again. Hain roared that she was talking nonsense. No matter how much effort you put in, it will all be futile in the end. Even so, I still believe there are things in this world that I can accomplish. Hain was stunned. The indescribable anguish poured out in this moment. I'll take you to plead for mercy. Perhaps there's still room for redemption. Hain knew clearly that she had no way to turn back. Suddenly, the next second she coughed up blood. Nils intervened to stabilize her condition. The injected dosage was small, not life-threatening, but her internal magical circuits were destroyed. She probably won't be able to channel magic power again. Hearing this conclusion, Hain's heart turned to ash. She truly wasn't chosen after all. Watching them leave, Nils felt an inexplicable sense of powerlessness. At this moment, Harwell stood beside his sister. Don't sympathize with her. I know Sister always empathizes easily with others, but regardless of what reasons she had, the fact that she hurt you is undeniable. Having this outcome today is her own doing. It has nothing to do with you. Nils agreed. That's right. If we cannot achieve it, then how about passing the baton to future generations? Though these words lack persuasive power coming from my own mouth. But precisely because my position is different, I understand more clearly the limitations of so-called geniuses. Admittedly, for individuals, the talent gap cannot be bridged. But when time is calculated in units of hundreds or thousands of years, how insignificant are individual abilities? Perhaps it's some scholar's discovery, or possibly some rural teacher's thoughts. They, for certain reasons, failed to achieve great accomplishments, yet might guide future generations at some point. Eventually, through the inheritance of time, radiating the brilliance they deserve, your efforts are not meaningless. The foundation stones of this world are built by these unsung heroes. Soon, they settled the other victims. As long as the serum was administered beforehand, they wouldn't be harmed by the witch's blood. Though side effects were unavoidable, they would wake up in a few days. At this moment, the Starlight Vine handed over a handkerchief. Emily excitedly introduced her friend. "This is Wendy." After Harwell jumped off the cliff, he first went back to bring Wendy, infiltrating among Haynes' subordinates, before they could use the witch's blood, injecting serum into the members. Freeing the captured Mikal, she was the greatest hero of this incident. Now that Haynes was captured with no casualties, everything seemed to have come to an end. Harwell called Mikal to come with him. After locking the door, the atmosphere instantly dropped to freezing point. "So, regarding the witch matter, what do you plan to do?" Both disciples expressed great surprise. There was a feeling that she indeed was no ordinary person. Compared to rumors heard from others, Emily preferred to trust what she felt herself. "Teacher is teacher. I won't change my attitude toward Nils because of this." Then she pointed sharply at Mikal. "If you dare to snitch, we'll be enemies." Mikal hastily explained no. What she was most worried about now was, if they just ignored this, would the cathedral tragedy repeat itself? While speaking, Harwell was preparing to draw his sword. But at that moment Emily blocked him, shaking her head to signal him not to be impulsive. Harwell had to give up. "I say, aren't you forgetting something? Sister voluntarily confessed her identity to us, which shows that compared to her own safety, she cares more about the innocent people caught up in this incident. If she intended to harm the Order of Light, she could have simply remained silent and let events unfold. Those members would have died long ago. Yet now you doubt her motives. Simply ungrateful, heartless, and without righteousness." Mikal immediately knelt down to apologize. "Then I'll continue caring for the others." After she left, Harwell confirmed repeatedly, "Are you so certain she wasn't acting?" The boy was confident. "Please trust us on this point. I've always been good at reading people. I think she just needed a reason to believe in Nils." Meanwhile, Nils followed the clues to find the last person. The man sat atop the city wall. "I thought you would come looking for trouble with me first. My identity and the witch blood's effects, you told Haynes about all of this, didn't you? How did you learn about these things?" "If the nobles knew my identity, it would be impossible for them to take no action until now." Instinct told Nils that this man was not an enemy on the same level as them. "You? Who exactly are you?" The man smiled calmly. "That's right. Before discussing business, let me introduce myself first. Morgana, historically the first human to be crowned with the title of witch. Also the genetic provider for Nils. Theoretically speaking, could even be considered her mother. The reason for appearing here should also be a chain reaction from Nils destroying the cathedral. Having suffered persecution from the cathedral, you should know the dangers of restarting the Immortality Project. Why deliberately expose my identity and incite Haynes to do such dangerous things? Don't you know this could cost many people their lives? So what?" Morgana showed no concern. "I hate all scholars. If they could all die, that would be perfect. The so-called truth built on others' sacrifices. Those high-sounding reasons I've heard too much of in the past. But since it failed, I won't pursue it further. I'm not like you. I don't have such powerful combat abilities." "Aren't all witches supposed to be exceptionally strong?" "Not at all. She's just a woman who happens to look this way and has some special abilities. Prophetic dreams. This is what makes her different from ordinary people. The girl was born in a small village. Scenes from her dreams would occasionally come true in reality. She treated it as a form of life's entertainment, adding some trivial amusement. Never imagining this would plunge her into an irredeemable abyss. One day she told the boy who bullied her, "Your house will catch fire, and you'll die there too." Sure enough, her words proved prophetic. The villagers united to capture her, sending her to the burning platform for execution. Fortunately, the cathedral passing by at that time took her away. But that wasn't salvation. It was another nightmare. There she learned to use her abilities, and understood that what troubled her every night weren't simple dreams, but prophetic visions. Like a useless beast, crushed and discarded. That was her fate. Fear nearly consumed her. To change all this, she planned to escape several times, even seduced male researchers asking them to take her away. But no matter what she did, the prophetic dreams told her it was futile. Until one day, the cathedral was engulfed in roaring flames. The true witch appeared. This was her only chance. The future changed. Her originally inevitable death showed a turning point. Her dreams had never been wrong before, so she was certain that something beyond the rules had come to this world, changing her destined course. And that person was the only variable. Morgana didn't want to return to that prison, she reminded Nils. "You're about to encounter trouble. Have you heard of the grandmother paradox? Traveling through time to kill one's own grandmother, then my existence itself would be erased. Congratulations, Nils, you've twice resolved the cathedral's conspiracies. Prevented countless people from being drawn into these inhumane experiments. But have you considered, if the immortality project is stopped, then witches won't be created by humans. Then who would you be, the one who crossed time and space to save everything? Several days later, Nils returned to her hometown. People were busy sowing seeds. A luxurious carriage came to a stop. McCall stepped down sighing. Finally home. They're back. The boy rushed off the carriage with open arms. Fellow villagers, I missed you all so much. But no one paid attention. The villagers spontaneously gathered around Harwell. You finally returned, Emily whispered mockingly. Didn't you have any premonition yourself? People always need some expectations, don't they? Nils stepped down from the carriage, revealing long black hair that made her fair skin appear luminous as jade. So this is Harwell's sister. They've been here 6 years as siblings, yet this was the first time seeing her. She's truly beautiful. Wonder if she's easy to get along with? Ha ha ha! Look, Colin seems to really like her. Nils quickly dodged the boy trying to grab her dress hem. The atmosphere suddenly fell silent. Everyone felt a hint of displeasure. That's not allowed. Sisters' clothes have protective magic. It wouldn't be good if you accidentally got hurt, right? Receiving the signal, Nils agreed with a hum. The atmosphere instantly returned to normal. Fortunately, Harwell smoothed things over. She still wasn't suited for interacting with people. Looking back now, her connections with people in this world all originated through Harwell as the catalyst. Miss Nils, I'm Colin's mother. Sorry about that, he was truly rude just now. Nils indicated it didn't matter. Is your health better now? Yes. That's wonderful news. To celebrate this good news, come to my house for dinner tonight. Before Nils's mind could react, Mrs. Scott is so cunning. I wanted to invite her too. How about we several families get together and hold a celebration for Miss Nils's recovery? And install a washing machine at my house while we're at it. She just recovered from illness. How can you be so shameless as to trouble her with such bothersome things? Nils waved her hand explaining, it actually doesn't take that much time. She inexplicably recalled Morgana's words. Because you repeatedly sabotaged the immortality project. At this point in time, Nils will no longer be born, therefore the world will gradually erase your existence. No corpse, no name, as if you never existed, except for those few children who have strong bonds with you, probably no one in this world will remember any trace of your existence. So how much time do I have left? You're more composed than I imagined. At most, only 3 days. So Nils also told them this way. At most, only 3 days. The villagers began preparing for the evening celebration. Harwell and Mikal also joined in. The boy asked him, are you really not planning to join the Order of Light? They're very sincere. As long as you're willing to participate in training, they can help recommend you for Night Brigade work. Isn't your life ideal to become a knight? Harwell scratched his head. That's true, but I don't want to get too close to them. After all, Sister's identity is sensitive. The closer to the center of power, the more likely her identity might be exposed. Although I have confidence that I won't let her be harmed no matter what. The mental anguish brought by suspicion and betrayal cannot be erased. Even if there's only a 1 in 1,000 possibility, that's enough reason for me to refuse. Emily rushed over brandishing a kitchen knife. You men are so easily overwhelmed by emotions. Didn't the teacher say before that she doesn't like you giving up your future for her sake? Don't you think making all decisions revolve around others is a manifestation of abandoning yourself? Harwell's eyes held a gentle warmth. But you see, just as emotions aren't everything, life isn't solely about achieving fame and success. Isn't that right? Being able to stay by my sister's side and protect her, that is my true self. Both of them froze simultaneously. Harwell, you really are truly a hopeless sister complex. Harwell's ears turned red. What's wrong with being a sister complex? They don't even have a sister. Pushing open the door, he saw his sister studying earnestly. Don't use brute force, aftershocks might cause fractures, but you need to be quick, shape it before the temperature drops. Harwell walked over with confusion. Nils turned around, wiping the sweat from her face. You came at just the right time. She placed the red-hot iron sword in water to cool it down. Give it a try. Test how it feels in your hand. With a swoosh, the wood was split into pieces. With just one glance, Nils spotted the problem. No good. The weight distribution is uneven. If you use a sword like this, people will definitely mock you. Let's start over. Sister, did you make this for me? Of course, you can't keep using that ordinary iron sword. She wanted to add some magical protection to it. But her own blacksmithing skills were simply too poor, damn it. Why is this so difficult? Hearing Harwell call her, Nils turned her head. Having you is all I need. As long as you're here, I desire nothing else. Soon the celebration began. Everyone in the village gathered together. Nils quietly watched everyone. The magic wand appeared at this moment. Don't you plan to struggle desperately one more time? Or sneak away quietly? Find a quiet corner to die alone, that would be more like you. Nils had indeed considered it, but in the end changed her mind. If she were to leave without a word like this, it would only leave those around her with regrets that could never be erased. At first it would probably be very painful. But witnessing it firsthand is better than a disappearance where life or death remains unknown. He's a strong child. As time passes, perhaps one day he'll learn to let go. Then, Surrounded by everyone, he'll live out his life. The things I couldn't accomplish, I at least hope he can fulfill for me. Harwell looked back at Nils, waving happily as he ran toward his sister. Everyone's going to dance later. Will you join us? He scratched his face somewhat shyly, then said, if possible, with me. Suddenly he was interrupted. Harwell, thank you, because you were here. These 6 years haven't been lonely for me. How strange, a witch abandoned by all, actually fantasizing about what it would be like to live an ordinary life like normal people. But you see, Nils's body finally began to sink at this moment. Her folded hands, at this moment, could no longer touch anything substantial. They both looked toward their teacher. Harwell's world seemed to collapse, suspicion already forming in his heart, realizing the moment of losing his sister. He tried to control the emotions that were about to burst forth. Hearing them say they wanted to take the teacher to see a doctor, Harwell let out a roar. Don't touch her. What nonsense are you spouting at a time like this? Can't you see she's unwell right now, Emily? They stopped their movements, only to see their teacher gradually fading before everyone's eyes. Please, don't touch her. The once joyful laughter and voices became sharp echoes, piercing every one of his nerves. His heart, as if gripped tightly by an invisible hand. The witch's lower body began to dissipate. Harwell kept vigil by his sister's bedside through the night. No matter how many healing spells he cast, he couldn't slow the rate of her disappearance. Even among the other villagers, no one else remembered Nils. Harwell's world completely collapsed, constantly murmuring, I don't accept this. She was the one who brought me away, and she was the one who made me unable to live without her. She can't just abandon me like this. His friend urged him to regain his composure, sit down first and think of a solution. What can you accomplish by rushing out blindly like this? I don't know. I only know that if this continues, I'm going to lose her. I don't know what to do. Please help me, since you've already knelt down to beg me. A voice came from the tree. It was another red-haired witch, Morgana. She leaped down, but accidentally twisted her ankle, falling to the ground with a thud, clearly in terrible pain, yet still trying to look cool in her embarrassment. Need help? Soon she had drawn the magic circle. In the center of the formation, Harwell held his sister tightly. Morgana called Emily over, then touched her forehead. Magical power instantly surged forth, gathering bit by bit toward Nils, surrounding her fingertips that were about to fade. The next second, everything was instantly restored. But this is only temporary, it won't last long. In any case, the current her, to this world, is someone who shouldn't exist. The only thing I can do now is strengthen the connection between her and all of you. And among you, the one with the strongest connection to her, I remember you're called Harwell, right? I hope to attach an anchor point to you so that even in the void, she can still find her way back. Only this means that your life and hers will be bound together. If she completely disappears, it's unpredictable what might happen to you. Harwell spoke up. Did you discuss this with her? Of course, but she refused me at that time and even imprisoned me. Until her magical power faded, I rushed here without stopping. I suppose this child is the existence that Nils would rather disappear herself than fail to protect. When will she wake up? Morgana didn't know either. Perhaps she'll wake tomorrow. Perhaps in 10 years, 20 years, perhaps until you're old and frail, this world still won't be ready to accept her. Even so, will you still wait? Harwell answered without hesitation. It doesn't matter. From the first day I met her, I was already prepared. In the darkness, Nils slowly opened her eyes. The magic wand Mammon also appeared. Where is this place? The depths of your own heart. This place holds all of Nils' memories. Nils reached out to touch the rippling light, but it shattered instantly. So everything you want to remember and don't want to remember is all here. If it were before, perhaps she would still explore Nils' past. But now her story has ended, and she should go home too. Home? Where is home? There should be one, I mean the real me. The me from before entering the book might have had a happy family, or maybe the relationship with my parents wasn't so good. I would go to school, make some ordinary friends, maybe clash with teachers over academics, just like countless ordinary girls having various troubles. But no matter what, it wouldn't be more difficult than Nils' life. I'm not Nils, I'm just a reader who usurped someone else's nest. My mission is complete, so can I go home now? Stop deceiving yourself, Nils. There never was any transmigrator. You're just trying to make yourself feel better. The first time she found herself unable to stop crying was after Mikal's death. That girl who was willing to share her sorrow was gone. No one in this world would cry for a witch anymore. She remained melancholy for a long time, once proposing to terminate the research. Soon the church replaced the person in charge of the Eternal Life Project. The witch now had no value. Nils stared blankly at the cage, but saw a hand reaching out from inside. A boy not yet 10 years old, already in despair. Nils's pupils contracted in shock, immediately stepping forward to intervene. Didn't I say not to use living people for experiments? Why do this? But the man said, this is how the new person in charge does things. If you don't do this kind of thing, then we can only ask someone else to do it. The higher-ups want to see results. They don't care about the process. Didn't you think there would be today when you said you wanted to give up? She remained dejectedly in the laboratory, blaming herself, feeling guilty. It was her fault again. All her fault. She could no longer distinguish right from wrong. When arguing with the new person in charge, a female colleague stepped forward to persuade her, but the next instant the witch actually released flames. In less than a second, completely consuming the woman. Painful wails echoed through the laboratory. It seemed that no matter what she did, someone would get hurt because of it, like a curse. Everywhere she went left behind pain. The witch's existence had changed from legend to reality. Being proactive was wrong. Being numb was wrong. Compromise was wrong. Resistance was also wrong. This time, Nils was hunted by countless people. She escaped from the church and hid deep in the forest. And in the end, her mistakes became her retribution. They should hate her. Nils's very existence was a mistake. Before dying, she summoned Mammon. I don't want to live as a witch anymore. If I could return to the past, let me believe I was reborn as someone else. Just like that. She numbed her future self, becoming a witch with modern memories. Poor Nils, you just wanted to escape, genuinely believing you were someone else's reincarnation. But in the end, you still didn't live the ordinary life you wanted. But it's okay, everything is over. You and your memories will exist here forever. You don't need to fear that anyone will be harmed because of you anymore. Nor do you need to cry for anyone. That world doesn't need Nils. I am you, your past. And also, your innermost desires and fears. Come, stay here with me. But Nils pulled back her hand. If you're truly the past Nils, then answer me one question. Why didn't you choose death at that time? That would have been the simplest option. If you had let Harwell's blade pierce your heart then, there would never have been more guilt and pain. Yet you didn't choose to do that, Nils retorted. She had come infinitely close to release, yet in her dying moments gave herself another chance. And since the past you didn't give up your life because of pain, you should understand why the present me persists. Both you and I want to live. Even if the world after reincarnation still tirelessly reminds us of those painful memories. The witch's vitality continues to flow endlessly. The past Nils gradually crumbled at this moment. She asked her present self with relief. You found where you belong, didn't you? Nils clutched her heart, answering, yes, so I should go back. She opened her eyes again, awakening from that small bed. Looking around, her hair seemed to have grown much longer. Just how long had she been sleeping? At this moment, the door opened. Outside the door was no longer that boy from before. His height and build had already surpassed Nils, even standing on tiptoe. She could only reach the shoulder of the man before her. Harwell stood frozen in place, carefully, hopefully yet fearfully testing. Sister. It turned out that after Sister's death, he had kept vigil for 2,555 nights, a full 7 years, finally waiting for Nils to awaken. However, that once obedient little golden retriever had grown into a handsome large hunting dog. On the 73rd day of Nils's initial coma, Emily chose to say goodbye. Mikhail had recommended her to the Magic Academy. It was a boarding system, so she wouldn't be able to return here for a long time. Seeing Harwell had no reaction, she could only bring up Nils's name. I'm very grateful to our teacher. Because of her, I truly experienced the beauty of magic. Even now, I believe this is a field I'm willing to devote my entire life to exploring. So, even if it makes you feel I've betrayed our teacher, I don't want to give up this opportunity. No one knows when she'll actually wake up, but that doesn't mean time stops. I also hope you can move on from this and live your own life, okay? Harwell smiled in response. Of course. I'm happy you found your own path. Sorry. I've been too despondent during this time, making you all worry. But I'm fine now. I plan to make a new, larger bed for Sister, so she can lie more comfortably. After that, I'll also go to the Order of Light to practice swordsmanship. I hope that when she wakes up, she'll see a me who's more mature and strong than before, not someone melancholy like now. We both need to work hard, seeing him like this. Emily finally felt relieved. Then see you after graduation, take care. He would wave goodbye, counting the days every day, from 100 to 300, 1,000 to 2,000, a full 7 years. When he pushed open the door and saw his sister standing before him again, Harwell didn't hesitate to pull her into his arms. Nils's head was foggy. Just how long had she been sleeping? The furnishings around were still the same as before, but how had he grown so much? For an instant she thought it was that man from her past life who had hunted her down. She patted his back, let go a little first, but Harwell held her even tighter, constantly murmuring, "You came back!" Nils stopped moving, just holding him like this for a long time. Seeing his emotions calm down, she finally let go and apologized. "I made you wait so long. This time, I won't leave again. So please let go. Can you tell me what happened these past years?" After the two sat down, Nils felt pressured. "Even if you don't stare at me like that, I won't suddenly disappear." During the time Sister was unconscious, Ram inherited the family business. Now he's working in trade. Emily went to the Magic Academy. But I plan not to notify her about Sister waking up yet. Otherwise, that person would probably break out of school and then get disciplined. As for me, just as Sister hoped, I joined the Heimdall Order of Light, learning swordsmanship as a trainee paladin. The villagers have also taken good care of me. Please rest assured I've lived well these years. My swordsmanship has improved greatly. If it's me now, I'm confident I can prevent sister from being harmed in any way. Nils circled around him, looking left and right. His physique was indeed quite robust. It seemed he had been eating well. His clothing and hairstyle were proper, showing no signs of being dejected. Only his eyes, as if he hadn't slept well for a very long time. Harwell joyfully nuzzled his sister's hand. Resting against his sister's knee, Nils gently stroked his head. But she felt something strange. Although they often did such things when she was small, now that he had grown so big, shouldn't they change how they interacted? Seeing his sister withdraw her hand, Harwell immediately showed concern. Did something happen? Nils guiltily indicated. Nothing. How long has it been since you slept? Harwell also became guilty. I'm fine. Nils made him lie down on the bed immediately to rest, laying out the large comforter sitting on a small stool. All right, sleep now. But Harwell couldn't fall asleep for a long time, afraid she would disappear again. Sorry for leaving you alone here. Although you've been trying to gloss over these years I wasn't here in a lighthearted way, I can still feel the harm I caused you. Do you remember what this house looked like when we first bought it? There was almost nothing here. I was immersed in the anguish of being rejected by the world. How could I have had the heart to decorate our life? It was you, picking flowers every day, using the money we saved, bit by bit filling this house. Only then did this place feel like home. Only then could I find a place to return to in the void. Now, this place remains as it was when I left, almost unchanged in the slightest. Yet it lacks the warmth you always worked so hard to maintain for me if possible. I wish you could hit me, scold me, demand to know why I abandoned you. Unfortunately, you're a gentle child. You wouldn't do that, so I can only say this apology to you. Harwell wanted his sister to swear she would never leave like 7 years ago again, I swear. Harwell smiled contentedly. No choice then. I can only forgive you. She was about to go back to rest. The next second, she was suddenly pulled back anxiously by the hand. Don't go! Didn't you say you wouldn't leave me anymore? Nils's mind went blank. This counts too? Looking at the bed before her. So, you mean, sleep together? Wait, Harwell, don't pounce on me.